Congressman Bob Good here with your weekly Good News from Washington. And there's not a tremendous amount of good news as it applies to the spending or appropriations process. We passed last week the first half of the two minibuses. The 12 appropriations bills have been broken from an omnibus into two minibuses that unfortunately are maintaining most of the policies, the Biden, Pelosi, Schumer policies that were in place when they had full control of government, that are frankly destroying the country and against which many of us Republicans campaign against, and keeping the spending levels, if not increasing them, that are bankrupting our kids and our grandkids. So we've not been successfully able to derail those. I, of course, voted against those, and now we're facing the second minibus that'll be next week. And combined with those minibuses are some 7,000 earmarks for about $14 billion, and that means that's pet projects, pork spending back in members of Congress's district. Those earmarks are used to buy votes for these bad spending bills. Of course, I don't take earmarks, I don't do that, and I'm voting against these spending bills and trying to change Washington, and that's why there's so much struggle, frankly, even within our own Republican Party. To exasperate or make it even worse, our president, who in his State of the Union address last week, again, should apologize to the country for the harm that he's caused, both at the border and with the spending, and then with the other problems that he's causing to make the United States weaker under his 3 years in government. He came out with his newest budget. The president's required to do a budget every year, and he came out with his fiscal 25 budget, and it's doubling down on more of the same of the harmful policies, and it's projecting the largest spending in the history of the country, the largest deficits in the history of the country, some $16 trillion in new deficits on top of what we already have, and some $5 trillion in new taxes, further burdening the American people. Obviously, we're not going to take up his budget in the House, and that's why we need change in Washington come November. As the chairman of the Health, Employment, Labor, and Pensions Subcommittee, I was chairing a hearing just this week in my subcommittee where we were talking about college athletics and the state of college athletics, and specifically efforts by the Biden administration to classify student athletes as employees so that they therefore had to get paid an hourly wage, and also to allow them to unionize to where they could have collective bargaining and things like that. And I just think this would further destroy college athletics, further destroy the amateur model, and really cost a lot of athletic opportunities, not only for women's sports and for non-revenue sports, but particularly men's Olympic sports, as the costs go up from basketball and football to pay these players an hourly wage, and what if they're unionized and they're striking? That causes all kinds of other problems. So this is ill-advised policy by the Biden administration, and we were trying to expose that and challenge that in the hearing that I conducted yesterday. This week in Congress, we also passed a bill restricting the ability of communist China to own TikTok, which we believe is compromising our national security, allowing China to surveil U.S. citizens, to gather data on U.S. citizens, and I think it's important for us to not allow foreign adversaries to own U.S. companies that can compromise our national security. It passed overwhelmingly on a bipartisan basis. I hope the Senate will pass it also. I think it's important for our national security. Thank you so much for the privilege of serving you and being your representative.